Arsenal 2, West Ham 2.
Come Saka. Yeah, he's missed it. He's put it wide. Oh no.
We're 2-0 up after 10 minutes.
A muffin man.
The pressure's starting to get to us. We still have a 4-point gap ahead of City. We need to hold on to that with dear life and still try to get this league title.
Yeah.
Saka, how do you miss that penalty?
My gumdrop button.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, sugar.
You can't miss the target.
We have crumbled.
West Ham are the last club in the world to say about effing things up.
I've lost my voice. The club makes me lose my voice.
You're a monster.
It's over.
Oh my God.
Fabulous team, and they've got a fabulous second team because of the money that they've got, and probably in a couple of seasons they'll be out of the league because they've been shown to be cheating.
Him off. Jared Bowen, he scored.
I can't watch this club anymore, man. I can't watch them anymore, man.
Somewhere out there are 4 terrible fathers I wish I could thank for this great night.
Can't let this happen again.
Welcome back to the Top 6 show. Smash the like button, subscribe. Make sure you also download us and follow us on Spotify. It comes out twice a week on there. There's a QR code above my head or link in the description to get that done. Dauds has joined us today. He ran off yesterday because he had internet problems. Sounds more like emotional problems to me. But you did sound a little bit like the gingerbread man from Shrek. I'm not going to lie to you, bruv. Why'd you do this to me, Saka? It was funny. I liked it there. And of course, if anyone is wondering, you all got the Elvis bit, right? We all get the Igal smirk. I mean, there was no smirk yesterday from Igal. It was missing. He told us he smirks every time he talks. Doesn't, but there we go. Lots to jump into today. We will, of course, be covering the Arsenal game, what they do from now. Have they bottled the title race? Is it an unsuccessful season if they don't win the league? We'll be going through all of that, plus looking ahead at today's game of Liverpool. We're looking at a bit of Chelsea, a little bit of Tottenham as well, who both had embarrassing weekends. Let's not forget about that. Man United winning, but some takeover problems today, and all that, and anything else you want to speak about, get your super chats in and all that jazz. But how is everybody, first of all? Is everybody good? Everybody well?
Very well.
Yeah, my team haven't had the chance to ruin my weekends yet, so.
How are you, Daud? How are you feeling today? Is the voice better?
Yeah, much better. Recovered. I'm kind of low-key happy I wasn't on the live stream yesterday because I would have said a lot of things that I probably would have regretted. So now a bit more calm. I see things more on the bright side now. It's not over yet. It's not people saying it's make or break. We've still got a 4-point lead. It's still in our hands. We can still go to City and get at least a point. So until City are above us or any clubs above us, then they can bat.
So you don't think you can beat City?
We can beat them.
We will save this to marinate a little bit later in the show. That is what we will do, my people. We'll start off with a little bit of Man United. We won yesterday. It was the last match reaction we did, so I don't necessarily think we need to focus too much on the game. We all know United were good. We all know United did their thing. I wanted to ask you all a question, though, because Man United fans are really debating this a lot, and I wanted to ask some rivals. Is Bruno Fernandes better now than he was when he arrived at Man United, or are you guys seeing very much the same player? Like, how do you guys see it?
I think you're seeing... I think in terms of the level, you might have slightly dropped. But I think you're seeing a different type of Bruno. I think you're seeing one that's able to operate much deeper and actually be effective when he's a little bit deeper. I know that, you're after maybe McAllister in the summer. I could see if he comes in, Bruno being a partner alongside Casemiro in a double pivot, because he's been a lot more effective this season in dropping deeper and being able to still have an impact on the game further back from the pitch. I mean, how many times last year were you watching these games where Fernandes was in the 10 and his passing was awful? He couldn't pick a pass to save his life and it was killing off so many nice attacks. This year, he's been a lot better with that. He's not got the same numbers because the numbers that he did have were ridiculous, but I think you've seen an evolution in Bruno that is probably where he will be in the long term, because I don't think you're going to find a better partner in terms of, matching up perfectly with what Casemiro can do than Bruno. I really don't. I think what you've got there is a potential good long-term partnership for 3-4 years on both an attacking and defensive end.
So for me, Bruno Fernandes, the difference between the Bruno that we used to see and the Bruno that we see now is that Bruno that we used to see is Bruno that is trying to do everything. He was trying to do everything for Man United. And he was trying to play the long ball from the back. He was trying to play the money ball. He was trying to do everything. And that's why when you try a lot, you fail a lot, but you succeed a lot. That's why his numbers were up. But also a lot of people on the eye was saying, yeah, you're playing all these wrong passes. But now, because the team is better under Ten Hag, the players' form picked up. He doesn't have to do everything on his own. He still runs the same. Numbers don't lie. He runs the same. He tries to defend. He's all over the pitch. But he's not trying as hard as before. So he's only doing the good things. You know what I mean? So that's why maybe the numbers are not as high, but the success rate. I think what I'm seeing now is that Bruno has matured. Ten Hag took him to the next level. Like, you don't have to do anything, buddy. You don't have to do everything. You just do the right things and you'll look great. You'll look great on the eye. That's the Bruno I'm seeing now.
I think it's exactly that as well. I do think that this is the first time in his Man United career that he's actually playing under a manager who has the tactical nous to look at a player and be like, look, you need to play this way, like Mo said, and only this way. And I feel like this is the first time that he's really starting to become part of the system rather than being just the one guy that's carrying them in certain games. So I think it's a better Bruno for the team as a whole, maybe not individually with regards to his personal development or his GA or whatever that you think, but I think as for the team and for what Man United need from him, it's definitely a better Bruno. He definitely has improved his all-round game, I'd say.
Yeah, I hear what you're all saying, and I actually agree that the system is what's helped to improve in. I don't necessarily think he still tries here, like people call them hero balls and spamming. I just call it, trying to break lines and cross the ball. But for some weird reason, young football fans have turned. I mean, David Beckham in today's game would be called a spammer. Legitimately, would be called a spammer of the ball. He wouldn't be called the greatest crosser of the ball in the history of football anymore. But with Bruno, it's the team's improved around him. Therefore, what he's doing is being elevated. His numbers, when you look at them, not just I've taken out goals and assists because we know they're lower this year. But this year, chance creation is one of the only elements that's improved dramatically. But even then, it's only by one chance extra per game. He is losing the ball slightly less, but we're talking like 0.8 times per game less. So less than one time extra per game less he's losing the ball. His actual his pass completion, giving the way of possession, passing accuracy, everything's slightly reduced on years gone by. But we're talking minuscule. They're actually, you look at his metrics, not much has changed at all. I think what's happened with him is there's just a better team around him now. There's a more, as you said, the system is there, and it's getting the very best out of Bruno Fernandes, which is what most Man United fans that like Bruno predicted would happen. The same as Marcus Rashford, as an example. You create a system, you put a team around him that works, and suddenly the team is of a much, much higher level. So for me, personally, I've seen a lot of people say this is the best Bruno we've had. He's having his best season. I don't necessarily think it's because he's matured or he isn't trying the passes or he's being more disciplined. I just think with a proper DM next to him, he's had the best midfield. We saw yesterday him and Ericsson, the way they run the show moving forward. They've played 17 games together this year with won 15 and drawn 2. When they play together, it's the best Man United midfield we've had since Fergie retired. There's no shadow of a doubt, and it's only going to get better. But I just think it's a little bit disingenuous from some of his haters to be like, if we had always had this Bruno, I'd have always loved him. Listen, if we'd have had KDB under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, people would have been slagging him off. Because if the system's bad, players let you down. So, yeah, I'm really proud of what he's doing. I still think it's his best season, but I don't necessarily think it's because he's changed his game or he's behaving differently. He's just got better quality around him for me.
What about the number? Would you want the numbers to go up again, Terry? Would you want the goals and assists to go up again?
If he was crossing the ball this year into players other than Weghorst, he'd have the numbers. He's created as many big opportunities this year and as many chances this year as KDB. His creation's been as good in the Premier League, but we haven't finished our dinner. It was at least, even our first goal yesterday, It came from Bruno's wonderful reverse pass on his left foot. Martial's shot was well saved, and then the rebound was put in. If people would have finished their dinner this year, he should easily have another 10 to 12 assists this season. Maybe even in the Premier League alone, he's created that many gilt-edged chances. And the amount of times I sit there and think, how has that not gone in? His finishing has been a little off this year. He normally averages around 18% conversion. He's only at 10% this year. Probably the only area this season that has not been at its normal levels. But his creativity is there. But next year, when Harry Kane's at Man United, you'll see Bruno Fernandes' assists go up. Like there's no. The reason that I think KDB will break the assist record this year, one, he's world class. Two, he's crossing and passing that ball to Haaland, who's got a 42% conversion rate. So give us a striker of Harry Kane's level, not Weghorst for like 4 months, and he'll have more numbers. So yeah, I'm not
You
worried
know
about
what as well, Terry, though? Once you
underlying-
get Harry Kane, you're not winning no trophies, mate.
Yeah, well, you say that. We've taken a Cutler plate. We've taken Berbatov and Carrick off you in recent years, and we won a lot of trophies then. So it'll be fine. It'll be fine. You know what I mean? We've robbed you before and made it work. So.
Wouldn't you say his best position is as an 8 now compared to when he was playing as a 10?
David, what's one say? David here says I'm lying about stats. I'm really not lying about the stats. They're there in black and white, my friend. Yeah, what I did today is I went to Squawker's head office and I held a knife to the throat of the web designer and made him make those stats up. There is online KDB stats. So KDB's assist stats are not helped by Haaland being the convert. If you think that, then I'll leave you to it, my bro. I'm not even going to debate it. Best position as an 8. I don't get dragged into this 8-6 box-to-box 10 attacking midfielder. He's an attacking midfield player. That's what he is. And sometimes that means you're going to drop deep. But yesterday, he was in and around that 18-yard box and he was cooking. That, for me, is where I want to see him predominantly. He's in and around that 18-yard box, on the edge of it, feeding balls in, making runs in from deep. He can do the deeper role, but I like him in and around the box. That's where there is only KDB in the Premier League is on levels with him over the last 3 years in terms of creativity and goal scoring from that position. So that's where he's got to be for me.
For me, when I look at a player like Bruno, I think it's a typical up and down moment. And what I mean by that is he's one of these players that people want to build up to be world class, and then the moment they don't hit those heights again, they're rubbish. And it's that all or nothing theory. For me, I just think he's a very good midfielder. I won't go higher praise than that or lower praise. He's a very good midfielder who gets his job done, has got some good stats over the years. But the one thing I do like about Bruno is, again, obviously it's not my club, but when you watch him, he does continue to try those things. So he may not get every through ball through to the forward, but he does continue to keep trying. There's something very unlikable about Bruno as a rival fan, but his numbers are good. And for me, I think, like you said, I think that him and Eriksen and Casemiro have played really well together. I think that's a stronger midfield three, as you will see in the Premier League, outside of Rodri, De Bruyne, and Gundogan. So I think he's a very good player. You know what you're going to get from him. Every manager's picked him game in, game out. I just don't think people should put him on too much of a pedestal and equally not put him too low. I just think he's just consistent for me.
No, I get where you're coming from. A few people sound lied about the KDB stats. So KDB is created on average this season 3.1 chances per game. Bruno 3. So when I said they're on about the same numbers, if you're going to hang me over a barrel on 0.1 per game, which means it's 10 games for an extra 1 chance, to say I'm wrong about that, come on now. And big chances created, it's 27 to KDB, 24 to Bruno Fernandes. So again, KDB slightly ahead, but it's not act like being a couple behind is like a huge differential. Like Bruno Fernandes is up there. Weird to call that out, but maybe that's because they hate Bruno so much. But yeah, do any of you care about Man United's takeover news today on a real level?
Yes,
I did hear
actually.
about...
Yeah, let me just say something, because I thought that Man United, the takeover, is gonna go through. The way the Qatari investment group, they were so confident about it, even in the Arab world, and I've read a lot of Arabic articles about them, and they said, look, I don't know, it's going through. And now we're hearing in the news that the Glazers are confident to keep the majority of the club.
No, you weren't there when the Qataris were rumored to be interested in us. There was 12-hour spaces going on with Arabic Liverpool fans translating for the English ones. They can reel you in very quickly. I'm just sitting there going, what was the Glazers' ultimate plan in the end? Because I know what our one was. Our one was just to try and get more investors in. We were never hoping to sell. We were just trying to get people to fund this transfer window. But what do you reckon United? What do you reckon the Glazers' actual point of putting the club up for sale was?
The difference between ours and yours is that we're a publicly traded company. So to falsely put the club on the market to raise the valuation through the stock market is illegal, and they could face jail time in America for up to 55 years. So they can't quite do it in the way that rivals want them to. Of course they could stay. That is a possibility that could happen. But what's just happened, I mean, I did a video about 3 weeks ago on this. We knew there was going to be a third round of bidding. And towards a week or so before the deadline, which we're about, it's on the 29th of the month that the deadline is. This has happened 3 times now before the other 3 deadlines. Stories come out, generally through the same journalists at the Daily Mail, that they're close to getting individual investment and they might stay. And most industry professionals, and you've heard Simon Jordan talk about this, they call it competitive tension. So they want to create tension to try and push the bidders to increase the money they're offering. That's what it's industry experts think it's most likely to be. So I'm not that worried right now, to be fair with you. If they stay and they get the investment and they pay the debt off, it's shit, they're still here. But with the debt gone, it means we've got money in the summer, which Ten Hag needs. It's bad, but it's not as disastrous as there being no investment. But if they stay as well, like, I'll complain about it. I'll continue to boycott. I'll continue to do all the things to try and get rid of them. But most Man United fans will roll over, renew their season tickets, buy the new kits, keep following them on Twitter, subscribe to MUTV. So nothing really will change. So I don't know how much more energy I can waste if they end up staying, because I don't want to talk to a brick wall. My dad always said to me that arguing with idiots makes you an idiot. So if people are like, I hate the Glazers, but I'm going to give them my money, I'm just not going to waste any more time on them, because they're killing my club as well. Like, anyone who gives the Glazers money, if they stay, I'm just going to refer to you always, not as Man United fans, I'm just going to refer to you as Glazers, is what I'm going to call those people moving forward, because you're the same. You're funding it and you don't need to. So, yeah, but I still think we'll be sold. I still think they'll get the right price. And Mo, like you said, in the Arab world, there is a lot of hope and optimism they'll get it. And we know as well, like, they don't want to be strung over a barrel, but they've got more than enough money. The money, £6 billion is nothing to the Qataris. It is loose change still. So I'm not worried that suddenly they're going to run out of money. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm still quite confident. And if we go back to a lot of the experts, not the journalists, but the financial experts, they all said end of the season-ish decisions would be made, not February, March, like a lot of the media were pushing out. So yeah, I'm not too worried, really, if I'm being honest with you.
So, Terry, one of the problems, I just want to add something. One of the problems, if Man United don't get sold, is that yes, the investment will be there to a little bit reduce the debt and invest in the market for Ten Hag. Is everything that Ronaldo talked about, the infrastructure of the club. That's what people wanted to improve. Man United, they have to catch up to other clubs as well. They have to catch up to the Man City. Like, everybody is improving everything, their stadiums, their infrastructure, and that affects the club going forward. The progress is still stagnant because of the infrastructure. And I don't think that Glazers will do that. I don't think they will do that, even if they get in line investment.
If they go, we get new owners. You don't even need all those things improved day one. The thought that they're going to get better. Did you think Newcastle in 18 months, everything isn't fixed? They're still fixing and refurbing, but the players know it's coming. If we get new owners in the summer and we spend what we're meant to spend, we're challenging for the Premier League title next year. I fervently believe that. We had a very bad start to the season, but since then we've only been a handful of points away from City and Arsenal. You look at the players we've had to cope with. The Weghorsts of this world as an example. We don't have a midfield when Eriksen and Casemiro are out. We rely on Fred Steele and people like that. So Bits has come in and done okay as of late. But we buy 4 or 5 top quality players, new infrastructure being built, new owners, and all the fans 100% behind the club. I'm not saying we'll win the league next year, but Man United are going to challenge for it. And a lot of people will say that's delusional. It just isn't. It just isn't. And, we bring in a De Jong in the middle or someone of that level, a Harry Kane up front, another quality centre-back coming into the football club, a better right-back and a goalkeeper that can distribute well. De Gea was good yesterday, by the way. Then, yeah, we're going to challenge next year. I'm not necessarily saying we'll win the league, but we can easily improve 10, 15 points on what we've done this year. And if we had 15 more points now, we're in the title race. So it's and I believe we can get that much better. So, yeah, but if they stay, it could be a whole different kettle of fish for Man United. It really, really could. Sorry, Dauds, you had a question, mate. Sorry.
Yeah. I was just talking about to mention about the takeover because I'm not very I haven't got that much information about the takeover. But when I was reading about the journalists talking about it's going to happen this season, takeover's going to happen. There's like deadlines. I was watching Sky Sports News. There's going to be a deadline, and then there's going to be new investors. How confident are you that you're going to have new owners by the end of this season, so in the summer? Because there's like a new deadline every couple of months, and nothing happens.
The thing is with these deadlines, again, and I mean, I've called them deadlines. They're not hard deadlines. There's not a hard deadline that's set in place with this type of process. Chelsea's sales process has kind of muddied the market and muddied the water for fans. Because what Sky News and all the news channels do is it's like with net spend. They give us net spend in a basic format because they believe football fans are thick and we can't handle the intricate detail of how they work. But essentially, there is no deadline to this because we're not being forced by the government to sell. It's the Glazers can do it whenever they want. So I might put the biggest bid in today and they go, right, we've accepted it. But until certain contracts are signed where they can't go back from, if Joe Bloggs 2 days later puts in a bigger bid, they can say, sorry, Terry, it's done. There is no deadline per se. So that's why it's going on this way. The Glazers are being told by the Rain Group, we think we can get you more money. So let's make a third round of bidding. Let's do more interviews, more conversations. Of course, they're going to leak the stories. They always do it near the kind of reported deadlines of the Glazers think they might be able to get some investment from this bank and grow it. But the thing is about them taking investment, the bank that invests wants to make a profit in the future. Every time the Glazers think they might stay, the share price drops. So for those investors, there is no cast iron proof that they'll want to partner with the Glazers anyway, because the valuation is going to drop out of it and the money they're investing is going to lose value straight away. And if fans do boycott in bigger numbers, if the club still continues to tread water as it's done, they'll never make a return on that investment. And banks don't like to lose, ever. So there's loads going on. It is a little boring for some people if you don't understand or like talking about finance, but I'm not that worried right now. I see a lot of United fan channels are, but for me, I think this is all par for the course personally, but that's just me. We have a super chat here that says 2 questions. Do you think it's time for City's treble, and will United break if they do the treble? We'll come back to that later, Debbie. We'll talk about that in the title race. Viewers, make sure you're smashing like and share buttons. Some breaking news. We're going to move on to Tottenham. There's some breaking news here about Tottenham from Matt Law, that Spurs plan to make contact with Luis Enrique. We will touch on that a little bit later in the Spurs section. But Sav, I know you did the match reaction Saturday, but another embarrassing weekend for you lot.
It's not embarrassing. It's just called normality now. It's I honestly don't get hurt by these defeats. If that makes me a lesser fan, I'm a lesser fan. But you just expect them. You just expect them now. Look, our fan base, like any other fan base, we do let's look at our next 5 games and how many points are we getting from these 15? And we all go, oh, that's free and that's free and that's free. And you go, oh, brilliant. We're getting 15 points from 15. Next thing you know, you go, oh my God, we didn't beat Everton and we failed to beat Southampton. And oh, hang on, there's Bournemouth as well. They've turned us over. So you just kind of get used to it. But I don't know if Jules would agree with me. I just think at the moment, if ever a club needed to get to a summer and get a season finished with,
100%.
I think as much as us Spurs fans will disagree on owners and managers and players, I think we all agree that we need to get to this summer. We need to appoint a new manager, and serious changes need to happen at Tottenham Hotspur. But yeah, it's not embarrassing when it keeps happening. It's just it's the history of the Tottenham. as Jose Mourinho or Conte or both of them said. So, yeah, good fun times, eh, George?
Yeah, no, we're all seeing from the team him at the moment. Honestly, like it's just a day in the life as a Spurs fan. We're not surprised. When that third goal went in, I was just like, again, yeah, not surprised. They've done to us what we did to them.
Yeah.
It's just a circus over there at Spurs at the moment. We honestly have nothing. Like even just I don't even want. I know you want to touch on the news later, but hearing we plan to contact. What have we been doing for the past month? Like what does that even mean? You plan to contact a manager? Like we're just sitting around doing nothing. And yeah, like you can't really expect much from this team. You can't expect much from the players. They lack a mentality. They have for the past years. And you hear Stellini going into press conferences saying there's 10 finals, there's 8 finals, there's 7 finals left. Mate, we don't win no fucking finals. So what does that mean? Honestly, what does that mean? Like, you're just setting us up for failure. We're not going to do anything this season. And like Sam said, we need to skip to the end of the season. Don't really care where we finish. I don't really care about what happens at the rest of the season. I just want to know what's going to happen going into next season. What can we look forward to? Because European football, yeah, we can get it. What's going to happen? Not with this team. I'm not watching European football with these players. I'll tell you that now. There's no point. You're just setting us up to be laughed at yet again next season. And yeah, there's really nothing good to look at Tottenham right now. It's just a joke.
I don't think it's only about the players. I'm sorry. I don't think it's only about the players. You hired winners. You got players. We were told that you had the best summer transfer, the summer window last summer, and I think it's all about the club, and it's not the owners, because the owners are the ones who bought the players. The owners the ones who got you Mourinho. The owners are the one who got you Conte. The owners are the ones who got you the Bissoumas and the Romeros, right? It's not about that. It's about the culture of the club. I think.
Sorry. Sorry. What am I hearing? Sorry, dude.
Yeah.
Listen,
So explain to me, how are you telling the owners?
100% the owners. It is 100% the owners.
So
right.
Well, how?
Okay, so let's put it this way, right? Tottenham Hotspur get Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte. Brilliant. The owners, well done for getting a world-class manager. Right? Then give them tools that these guys can't work with. I'll explain to you. If you bring in world-class managers don't work with players like Ben Davis, Eric Dyer, Højbjerg, Ollie Skip, Emerson Royale,
Davinson Sanchez.
Let me respond. You're only mentioning respond to that. They got you Kulusevski, who Conte wanted. They got you Bentancur, he wanted. Yeah. They got you Bissouma, who everybody wanted. I'm sorry. You cannot replace the whole club. Ten Hag is working with the same squad, only adding 3-4 players. Well, you got players. You want to replace.
Yes, but they address the problem areas, though.
Yeah.
I don't get why Tottenham have refused to buy another centre-back. I don't get why they persist with Ben Davies as a left centre. I don't get why they persist with Eric Dyer. I don't get why they persist with Davinson Sanchez as an option.
Antonio Conte said Eric Dyer is okay, so he was okay with him.
Manager
was okay with him. It's on him.
What is he going to do? Is he going to go out to the press? Is he going to go out to the press and go, Eric Dyer is awful? I don't want to make
He did that with other players.
No offense.
I'm not well versed on Conte. What players did he sit there and go, I don't need them, get them gone?
This smacks of someone not understanding a rival club. I'm so sorry, my man. But these owners, this isn't one summer. This isn't about this 1 year under Antonio Conte. Antonio Conte is this year, right? This has happened with every manager we've had. You've got Harry. If I go back, I could go back to the 80s if I needed to, but I won't. Right? You've got Harry Redknapp, who at the turn of the year had us in third place, about 3 points off second place, and he wanted Cahill and Tevez, and ends up getting Ryan Nelson and Louis Saha. George, stop me at any point if I'm wrong on any of my Tottenham history here. Right? You've then got Martignol being sacked at half time during a game. You have got Pochettino, who worked wonders for the time he did. He worked wonders with a bare 11 and was free transfer windows. And the only player they bought in free transfer windows was Lucas Moura. You've then got Jose Mourinho, who comes in and they buy him Joe Hart, Gedson Fernandes on loan, Matt Doherty, Joe Rodon, Bergwijn, Vinicius. right? And you think that's backing a manager. Then you've got Conte. Other than, Kulusevski and Bentancur, they're good players. But like I said earlier, they're not world-class players. They're good players. They're good, right? So you've brought those two in. But like Tom said, Man U this year, Man U turn around and go, right, what do we need? We need a world-class defensive midfielder. I know. There's Casemiro. We need someone in the middle of the park who can control the game. There's Christian Eriksen. Yeah, we need a top centre half. There's Lissandro Martinez. Spurs got Bissouma, who doesn't even play in a Conte type system. We got Jed Spence, right? We got Longley, who is diabolical. We got Perisic, who's 407, right? We got Richarlison, who is awful. To turn around and say this is not on our owners, I'm sorry.
Not back in the club. I'm sorry. No, the finances don't lie, my friend. Man City's the finances don't lie. You spend money. Here's the problem with your owners.
Who said we didn't spend money?
You do spend money, right?
Yeah.
So here's the problem with so you didn't let me finish, so I let you say whatever.
But badly.
You're not wrong.
Get it right.
Let me tell you that I was going to tell you what the problem with your owners. It's the culture of the club. It's bringing a player and tell them you're here to win, not to participate. My problem with Spurs is that you're okay with participation. You're okay with just competing. While other clubs, they bring a player, they tell them you're here to win. You're here to
But
win with
Mo,
us.
you say the culture of the club. Who sets the culture of the club?
It's everything. It's everything. But the owners
set
can
the,
only
they set the culture of the club because the
but that's
fans
what I
don't
mean.
accept this. You're acting like the fans are out here to say this is great, this is amazing, when we're all calling for it, saying this isn't good enough. We've said this for ages.
Great.
And now
So
you're
I
saying
said,
the culture of the club.
George, do you know what, right? The thing is as well, you've got to turn around and say, right, it's all well and good going, right, you're here to win. If I go and buy 10 players from the Championship and go, right, guys, you are here to win the Premier League. If they've not got that quality and that caliber, I can preach to them all I want. Yeah, the difference is Man City, buy top quality players for a top quality manager. Liverpool under Klopp, we won't go into this year, Tom, but Liverpool under Klopp have bought in top quality players for a top quality manager. Spurs buy very mediocre players, and then people go, oh, it's the culture. No, it's not. It's the caliber and quality of the footballers.
How about the quality of the players before they joined the club? Davinson Sanchez was in a Europa League final against Man United, and Jose Mourinho wanted him, and he's a 50 million euro centre back.
Mourinho didn't sign him.
No, let me just tell you. But you're saying Bissouma, everybody wanted him. I think again the play Kulusevski, you guys wanted him. I say in Italy he wasn't great, but a lot of teams praised him and they said he's great. Some of the players that join your club, okay, they join the club and they get worse. Romero was one of the best center backs based on everybody's talk before he joined. Now he's good. He's not the same level. I think the level drops.
Why?
Why
is Romero not as good? Right, I'll tell you, because he's playing alongside Davinson Sanchez, Eric Dyer, and Ben Davies. Bissouma, why has Bissouma not been good this year? Oh, that's right, because we don't play the same formation as what he played at Brighton. Why is, you said Kulusevski. Kulusevski wasn't, let's have this right, yeah? Tom will back me up on this. Kulusevski was the backup signing because we missed out on Luis Diaz because Liverpool outbid us, right?
Yeah.
So Kulusevski was a last. Listen, I'm not knocking. Kulusevski's a good player. He's young. He'll learn. He'll grow. But let's not make out that Spurs went out, took a top quality player from a top quality club. We took a player that couldn't hold down a place at Juventus, right? And we've got that
couldn't
player
hold
now.
down place at Juventus because Bentancur was tacked on the deal as well.
Absolutely. So
when you're saying, Sava, let me get this straight. Just a question. You're saying that the owners don't spend enough or they recruit wrong?
As I said, the owners spend money. They recruit wrong, and their internal structure is wrong. For example, please don't all laugh at once because this really hurts me. This one, Eric Dyer is about to sign a new 3-year contract at this football club.
I keep hearing that.
Right. Okay. So I'm glad you've all had your laugh. Eric Dyer is about to sign a new 3-year contract, and then I get fans from other clubs like you going, you know what? It's not the owners. Well, who's giving that man a contract? Because our director of football's sitting in prison in Italy somewhere, and our manager, we don't have one.
So we're signing new players to new deals with no manager in place. We're supposed to be having a plan. We're supposed to be looking for a manager, supposed to be bringing someone in to make changes. But we're already signing new players to new deals. So pretty much when the manager comes in, he's going to say, Eric Dyer, you've got to work with him. Heung-min Son, you've got to work with him. You've got to work with all these players because they've got deals. We've just gave them new deals. We're paying them this much money. So that's the issue, Mo. It's always going to be on the owners. And until the owners change the philosophy about how they run this club, nothing's going to improve about Tottenham.
George,
And we're just going to go into
agree.
the same season with no plan.
I agree. But this summer, though, George, if you bring in Luis Enrique and you have a good summer in the transfer market, but I turn around and say, I don't think you'll win a trophy, please don't come for me again.
I mean, it was a bit, let's be real, Terry. It was very different last summer. Conte didn't just have his first summer. He had his the back end of last season in which we played very well. We actually played good football. We had good results. So that was building upon that. If the team didn't build upon that and they didn't continue to play that way, there's nothing that I can do to predict that. I was going off the back end of last season, using the results that we got and the way that we played, the amount of goals we were scoring. I was confident in the way that we would go into this season. We obviously didn't carry on and take that momentum into the season. A lot of those players that played good at the back end of last season, like Dyer, like Lloris, are now some of our worst performers. So there's nothing that I can do to predict that. I mean, if I come for your head, I come for your head.
Just real quick, though. Just real quick.
Sorry, let me just respond. Sorry, Tom. I get where you're coming from, but I said I predicted you to make top 4 last year over Arsenal. A lot of the new subscribers to the Terrace or people that maybe have seen my Arsenal clips this year, to give me stick. One Spurs fan actually said yesterday to me, I've never once in the history of the Football Terrace seen you back or something nice about Tottenham. And I said, when did you start watching? He went, this season. It's like, well, that's ridiculous. The channel's 6 years old. But I said what I said based on your window not being very good. But now, Sava's always said it's been bad. But like what Mo's essentially pointing out is that if you guys have a window this summer and it gets bigged up by your PR team, a lot of your fans will go, this is the one, guys. And then when it goes wrong, and people go, well, it can't be your owners because you said they did a good job in the summer, it goes back to them again.
I feel like this narrative is wrong, though, Terry, because
if your owners are the problem and they always get it wrong, why, if a rival goes, I think your owners have got it wrong again, would you not go at least say fair point?
No, but Terry, all this talk about Tottenham won the transfer, it's a lot of rubbish because I never sat there and said this. Any smart, sensible Tottenham fan sat there and said, you can go and watch the clips back, Terry, if you really want to.
Yeah,
I said the window was a 6 out of 10. We've done how many reviews of the transfer window, and I said,
you weren't concerned. You weren't worried.
No, Terry, I sat there and said, my concern is that we did not sign a centre-back. We did not sign a centre-mid. The window was good, but it was not amazing. It was a good window. It was one of the best windows we had spending-wise in a long time. Tottenham don't usually go out there and get decent players and spend some money. It doesn't mean that it was amazing, and it was better than what we thought it would be, but a lot of the players didn't live up to the hype. No one thought Basuma was.
Can we call it what it is? Can we call Tottenham Hotspur for what it is, right? And this is a Spurs supporter of 40 years saying this, right? This is not my first rodeo at supporting Tottenham Hotspur, all right? I've been let down many a time, right? Tottenham Hotspur, the owners that you just failed to put any blame on, Mo, right?
No, I did. Oh, no.
Hang on.
No, Sava.
Hang on.
No, do not quote me wrong. Do not quote me wrong.
All right. It's all right. Don't worry. No one cares. It's not important, right? The owners have created in the last 10, 15 years a culture where there is no ethos, a culture where there is no plan, a culture where there is no strategy, a culture where there is no structure. What I mean by all of that is this, is if you turn around and say, that is how Spurs play football, nobody knows anymore. Nobody knows what are we? What are we as a football team? If anyone says, is that a Spurs signing? No one knows anymore because we've had so many different managers over the last 10 years with so many different styles of play that our squad now is this mismatch of players that played under Poch in a free-flowing pressing style, players that played under Jose and Conte in a more defensive, negative, free-at-the-back setup. So there's no plan at the club. So for me, you can bring in Luis Enrique. Cool, Luis Enrique will get teams playing good football. However, what Tottenham fans, this is what I would say, my message to all Tottenham fans out there is, if you bring in a Luis Enrique, he's got to be on the same page as whoever the director of football is next season and the owners. And they've all got to turn around and go, right, This is the start of something new. We build something now. We build and play the way Luis Enrique plays. And that is not going to happen in one window because none of our players are capable of playing tiki-taka. I think Jules will back me up. If you bring in Luis Enrique and you want to be able to play that zippy type of tiki-taka football, we're going to need to go and sign 7-8 players. Not going to happen. So, listen, the whole thing needs to be scrapped. The whole thing needs to be reset. And the sooner these owners go, the sooner a lot of Spurs fans will be very happy.
I get that. I'm going to go to you in a second, Tom. By the way, Tom, you're so close to your mic. We can hear you breathing, Tom. So it's very nice. For me, I like the sound. I think it sounds good. There's a super chat here. I know a lot of you have tweeted about the title race, some big donations. We will come back to them later. Don't worry. This here from Let's Have a Discussion says, roll back the clip, Terry. I have watched it. L. George was dancing like a 70s fat man and was ready to strip because of how happy he was about the signings, is what this viewer remembers. Chris Talks Footy says, what do the owners have to do with Spurs fans continuously overhyping Spurs? We were all told you won the transfer window and trophies were coming. There is an inconsistency there with some Spurs fans from start of seasons to the end of seasons, but we have it with United fans as well that will ignore the Glazers when we're winning games and only turn to them when we're losing. And there's a handful of us that consistently go on at the Glazers, but I hear you on that. This fan here, Debbie, says it's time for Spurs to delete the club. Delete the club is what's being suggested. I doubt that's going to happen there. This here says Enrique will work and Chelsea, not Spurs, and Nagelsmann will work at Spurs and not Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea are in just as bad a situation. They weren't just beaten by Brighton at the weekend. They were destroyed at home, 27 shots to 7 or something like this. Battered and 2-1 flattered Chelsea massively. And now it's turned out that Todd Bowley is giving team talks. They're giving the team talks. They sacked a world-class manager for Potter. Cost £100 million to get him in and out. They've bought players that meant that they've spent £600 million on players that match no ideology of how they want to play. We know that because they haven't decided on who they want to now take over. They brought back the most unsuccessful manager in their club's history and the worst available manager in England. I keep saying it. Alan Kirbishley, Big Sam, Ian Holloway are all better. And now Todd B, this man is literally giving team talk.
You remember Jamie Carragher and Phil and Gary Neville when they talked about the American owners. There is a difference between an American investor and owner and an owner of an NFL team. They are used, and I said it. I think I said it on the terrace before. The American owners, guys, are used to them lifting the NBA trophy, the NFL trophy, the MLB trophy. They are used to be the face of the club. In England, it's not. The owners are behind the scenes. They're working. Yes, they talk. In America, they are used to be in the front row all the time. And I think Todd Bowley thought that I'm going to change Chelsea. I'm going to be the guy always in the news. And he's doing it. We are here on the terrace talking about Todd Bowley. We're not talking about Chelsea. We're talking about Todd Bowley. So he is actually doing his plan. His plan is to come and change the way English football work. The owners are the face of the club. He's doing it. It's actually happening now.
I actually rate Todd Bowley for doing this because he's sick and tired of all of the managers. And there's someone on TalkSport that said, if Lampard can't get the best out of these players, who can? I'm thinking, Frank Lampard. This guy, yeah, he's right. He's one of the worst managers. And Todd Bowley, he's probably seen it now. Probably seen that this guy can't do nothing. I have to step up. I have to let these guys know that this is a make or break game. Because they've got nothing to play for. Why are they in the league? They're like
this is the same owner that sat there with Thomas Tuchel pre-season and went play a 4-4-3. This is the man who wanted Thomas Tuchel to play a formation without a goalkeeper. Like, what are we doing here? Why is he going? What's he going to say to these players that they don't respect his appointment? Why would they respect him if he's in the? If anything, it's overbearing. And the thing that sums it up, the man asked James Corden for his opinion on who should be manager. And took his opinion to heart and used that recommendation. What is going on here? Chelsea, that they were loved under Abramovich. Loved that club. Abramovich cared for that club. Abramovich wanted the best for that club. Todd Bowley just treats it as his plaything. He's in Twitter spaces. He's buying whatever players he wants. He's got no plan. It's there. And he can use it. He can go sit at Stamford Bridge and watch it. They are 11th. They are going to finish 14th, 15th because they're running. They aren't winning many of those. I'll tell you right now, they're not winning many of those in the run-ins. They are done for. And when you go back to that Enrique news, Tottenham after Enrique, and Chelsea want Nagelsmann, that's the wrong way around. Nagelsmann should be going to Tottenham. Enrique should be going to Chelsea. That's where you will see it. The managerial things lining up. Enrique gets to spend loads of money. Nagelsmann will get to work on a project. If Chelsea end up picking up Nagelsmann, it's just not going to align. Nagelsmann likes to work with these players, likes to develop them. Yes, every manager would like 300 million, but is it gonna be the best to get Nagelsmann flowing? Is he going to be able to create the same rapport with players and everything? That's what has to be considered when you're getting these managers in. And I don't think Todd Bowley's got it. I don't think he's got it in him because his last appointment was Graham Potter, because the football hipsters of the world said Graham Potter's a good manager, and he had a Brighton team in 10th, which they lost him. They got a new manager in, and he's done better than Graham Potter. So what are we doing here? Are we just going to put the Zerbi at Chelsea?
I want to ask you guys a question on this. Because I feel like if there was an extra 5 games remaining this season, I think Chelsea would get relegated. Laugh. I genuinely mean that they've got just enough points for no one else to catch them. But I know like Nottingham Forest right now, and some of the other teams down the bottom are winless in 5, and all the teams that are kind of just out of the relegation zone have all won 2 or 3 of their last 5 games. But I wouldn't be surprised if a number of the teams currently in the bottom 3, 4, 5 places go on a couple of game winning streaks. But I just don't know where Chelsea's next win comes from. So I don't think they'll go down this year. But my question is more, if they get this managerial appointment wrong, let's say Luis Enrique goes to Tottenham. Let's say Nagelsmann says, you know what? You lot aren't doing my team talks and telling me who I've got to pick. Let's just say a lot of the rumors are true, that they've got too much influence and they're running the show. Could Chelsea get relegated?
I don't see that happening. I do think that they've got far too many not great, but good players for that to ever happen. But it is a good point because I feel like, for me, Bowley's he's the cause of all these problems that are going wrong with Chelsea. I feel like you said, they don't take him serious. He's paying them how much money? They've got too many players to fit inside the dressing room. No matter what manager comes in, they're still going to have a lot of these issues. I don't feel like any manager can come in and just fix Chelsea like a lot of them think, because they've got a good set of players. They just got many problems. They're even hearing about FFP and stuff. Like, Chelsea aren't in a good position this season or even going into next season. And like Tom said, I feel like they need a manager who's got a lot of character, someone that's going to come in and not listen to Todd Bowley, and someone that's going to tell him and put him in his place. Someone like Jose, maybe even Ancelotti or Enrique, someone that's got a lot about them. So they're going to be given the team tools. And if Bowley tries to tell them something about the team, they're just not going to have it, because right now there's really nothing for Chelsea to look forward to.
Do you reckon Todd Bowley does that though? Because that's why he got rid of Tuchel, because Tuchel wasn't playing ball with what Todd Bowley wanted. Todd Bowley wanted him to have more say over the transfers. Tuchel said no, we got rid of him. And Thomas Tuchel is the reason Chelsea aren't in a relegation battle, because there's 10 points at the start of the season.
But that's the thing. I feel like he's going to have to know that when this manager comes in, any big manager, like the likes of Conte, Mourinho, that they will come in and they will say, if you want me to win, you win my way. And Todd Bowley's going to have to give that up, because the way that he's doing it right now clearly isn't working for him. And he's going to have to realize that sooner or later, because Chelsea are only going to get worse and worse. And they're still really on road to 40 points.
Do you know what? I lied earlier when I said that if ever a club needed to get to a summer, it's Tottenham. I lied. It's Chelsea, then it's Tottenham, right? Look, I've got a slightly different take on it. I think that, look, Todd Bowley's done a lot wrong and is bedding in, but the same way that players and managers have to bed in. Look, this is, a new owner coming over. I said this at the beginning of the season. Chelsea, I didn't predict Chelsea would drop off this dramatically, but, new owners, new manager, new technical director of football, 14 new players, new medical team, new scouts. I just think doing all of that, it's almost like doing an entire rebuild in a year. And it's just way too much. I think you're getting a powerful manager. You're getting a powerful manager, like George said, a manager that will go, no. I choose the players. I give the team talks. You bring in a powerful manager. You get out your Pulisic's, your Ziyech's, some of the older guard. You whittle that squad down. They won't be in Europe, so they'll whittle that squad down and they'll play once a week. You've got Nkunku to come in. Some of the players that have come in this year will have had time to settle over the summer with a new manager. I think it's a real fine balance. I'm not saying they're going to be flying next year, but it could work for them depending on that managerial appointment. But I'm not going to sit here and write them off yet because Chelsea, I don't know, they're just that club. Do you know what I mean? They've got a lot of good players, plus Nkunku to come in. We'll see, but it's a bit. Listen, one thing I do know: this is a massive summer for them.
Yeah, but let me add something. I think the rumor is surfacing about Luis Enrique with Tottenham is that because I think what happened is Luis Enrique, he had a meeting with Chelsea, and I think he had demands, and there is nothing announced yet. That means they didn't agree on anything, and he wanted long-term commitment. He wanted to have the upper hand in the transfer market, and I think they didn't agree on anything, and that's why now we're hearing these rumors about Spurs with Luis Enrique. Because if he had agreed everything with Chelsea, we would not have heard this rumor. I think it's a big problem at Chelsea. I think the right manager for them, this is my strange shout, is Antonio Conte at this moment for a year contract or a 2-year contract. I know you guys don't like the squad is built for 3-5-2. The squad, they will have Lukaku back. I know Spurs fan won't agree with me, but when they had
Chelsea
a problem,
fans won't agree with you.
Yeah,
Every Chelsea fan I know was going, Conte.
Probably yes, because they don't. But to be honest, when they had a problem with the club with Jose Mourinho in 2014, 15-16, they had Antonio Conte. It's a short-term thing, and the club already had a lot of players. He will work with some of them, and it just get fixed now because the club needs the winning mentality back. Listen, Chelsea over the last 20 years have been the most successful club in England with one model, which is up and down, hire and fire, and get the wins no matter what. So I know that the long-term plan and all the stuff that is talking now, because everybody wants that long-term plan and the consistency and stuff, it didn't work for them. They never had that. So why did you want to move away?
You know what, though? I disagree. If they were after a manager to come in for a short term and to steady the ship and get, a good feeling back in Chelsea, it's Mourinho. I'm sorry. I understand your point on Conte, but Jose Mourinho is actually liked by Chelsea fans. And I think that's a part that you have to take into consideration. A lot of Chelsea fans are feeling disillusioned by the club doing it. They have no idea what the structure is. They have no idea what the plan is. Mourinho can get everyone together. And it doesn't have to be a project where you back Mourinho in a sense, because he's going to get that anyway. Todd Bowley's going to want to spend his money. Mourinho just has to come in, win some football matches, get the fans back on side, and get a Chelsea feeling back into it. They've tried. I can almost imagine that's what they thought Frank Lampard would do, but Frank Lampard's crap at his job, so he can't do that. Whereas
Do you think he's going to drop? Do you think he's going to drop down a standard, Tom? I mean, at the moment, Roma are sitting comfortably in a Champions League position.
Todd Bowley's got money.
Europa League,
Todd Bowley's got some money to spend. Todd Bowley's got money to spend. I'm sure he can convince me.
He's in a big contract already. He's on a big contract with Roma already. Very, very big contract. So he's already the money thing. I don't think they can pull Mourinho out. But I agree with you, Tom. If you're going to say exactly why I say Conte, they need someone to come in, just win some games, win the fans back, and get that winning mentality again. If it's Mourinho. But I think that long-term plan with this owner, it needs a lot of work, and I don't see it happening, to be honest.
Ancelotti, Mo? What about Ancelotti?
I think
it would work as well. Great shout as well. But that's what I mean. The way Chelsea want to switch the club to like this long-term plan. Dude, you've been 20 years successful with one model. Just changing it now, and you tried, Graham Potter. It didn't work. It just didn't work.
Do you know the thing for me? When they first took over, look, we all get predictions right. We all get predictions wrong. I didn't think they would do all the things they're doing now, because of the fact that straight away we knew that Todd was running things, but what they told the media straight away was, we're going to bring in sporting directors, footballing directors, football people to run things. But the decisions they're making do not sound like they're being made by seasoned professionals. How do I know this? The Glazers run my football club. They owned our football club before Fergie retired, but they started running our football club after he retired. And there's certain similarities that I'm that I see in terms of weird decisions. Bringing Lampard back is an example of that. A weird populist decision, thinking that the fans would just jump for joy, but they don't really understand football. Equally, I saw someone in the comments section a few moments ago say they won't do a Conte because the papers have said they're going to take their time on this. But the paper said after every defeat that Potter wasn't going to be sacked and he would definitely be given pre-season. He's not there anymore, is he? Chelsea's owners have told the media 100 times what they're doing. They're going to do the right thing. But so far, we haven't seen any of the right things happen. Barring a
Terry, can I ask you something?
Go on.
With Conte, I don't know how you feel as a Spurs fan seeing him at the back end of his tenure with us. I feel like this guy is about to have a year out of football completely. He looked a shell of a man. He didn't look well. Lots of rumours that he wants a year away after obviously he's had 2 or 3 close friends pass away this year, been ill. I feel like he's going to go back to Inter Milan the year that, because they're building a new stadium right over at Inter and AC. I feel that he'll go back there just in time.
Look at Mo's face.
Just in time for I just don't feel that. Can you imagine the stress he's just had at Spurs?
I hear you.
Now going to Chelsea. Oh.
It may not be him, but who knows? Maybe they offer him an obscene amount of money to do a year. But this is what I mean by could he relegate? Could Todd Bowley relegate them? On paper, you'd say not with the quality of player and with Conte. But let's just say they offer him an obscene amount of money and he goes back on his decision to take a year out and he manages them. But halfway through just has a breakdown because mentally he isn't where he wants to be. You'll be back where you are again now as an example. The point I was just trying to make is that every time Chelsea say, this is what we're doing, we're building this, we're building that, we're making long-term this, long-term that, the end result looks completely different to what they're telling the media. They also, in the summer, by the way, and of course, fans always attack the journalists and not their own club, thought they had deals done for players like Jules Koundé, briefed the press and said, we've started our onboarding process. He's ours. The press released those in, and then he goes to Barca. And I spoke to these journalists, and I'm like, why did you guys get caught out? Because obviously, I then do reaction videos to what the journalists say. I'm like, yo, what happened? They're like, the club literally told us it was done when it wasn't. So they've made so many of these errors where they say the wrong thing. Imagine a week before Potter gets sacked, you release a press statement and you make journalists say, even if he loses into the rest of the season, he's staying. And then a week later, he gets sacked. The journalists get abused. Fans are confused about what's going on. If I was a Chelsea fan right now, I would not be suckling on the PRT at that football club. I would be pushing back on everything, demanding answers, demanding a long-term plan. And I wouldn't be listening to any of their bullshit. What is it? The boy that cried wolf? That's all I can think of. The boy that cried wolf. You keep promising something and failing to deliver. So what? I know fans want to protect their club. And I know Chelsea fans want to sort of promote the best view of their club possible in any given situation. But sometimes you've got to wake up and smell the coffee and that they could get this next managerial appointment bang on. And everything they're saying now could be true. But why not scrutinize it just in case it isn't true rather than bury your head in the sand and it isn't and you come out looking bad again? Like you're much better off being harsh on a team doing the right things than too easy on a club doing the wrong things. And that's why I understand people think they're always protecting their club. But Man United fans have protected the Glazers for 17 years by not doing the right thing in calling them out. They haven't done enough. Spurs fans, 10 men at a protest. Oh, we hate you, but can we have some Formula One tickets, please, for the go-karting? That's the way it works. And I don't mean that as a dig, but that's what fans do. We almost we hate it, but I've got to go though, haven't I? No, you don't. And I'm just saying to Chelsea fans, be very careful when believing what they and the journalists tell you. Because so far, it ain't matching up for me. So far, it doesn't. You know when, I don't know, your friend tells you a story about why they didn't come out on Saturday night or why they haven't got that money that they lent you. And you're listening to the story and you're just thinking, what the fuck is this? You just know they're bullshitting. There's something about this Chelsea situation that smells off to me because it just does. Bringing Lampard back should be a massive indicator that right now they have absolutely either no idea what they're doing or the football people are not being listened to. And Todd Bowley and the bankers are like, we'll do it our way. I've watched 2 seasons of Ted Lasso. He didn't understand football and they won an FA Cup.
Ted Lasso.
Like, Ted Lasso's brilliant, by the way, but it wouldn't work in real life. And I'm not even digging Chelsea out. I'm not even trying to be horrible, but they've got big problems at that football club. They just have. And we all got suckered in by what they were saying. I thought, well, they're saying this. The journalists, listen, there's some really respectable journalists that have not, every article they write when they're briefed by Chelsea, they just write it as gospel. And they're like, no, if I thought it wasn't true, I'd question it. But nothing they've told you so far has been true. And you're still not questioning it. Mad to me. Chelsea fans, stand up. I was going to say weaponize this. Don't weaponize anything. That sounds dangerous. But stand up and push back against this because they're ruining the heritage that you built over the last 20 years. And listen, there's been many a giant in English football history. Just go and ask Everton fans. Go and ask Nottingham Forest fans. Go and ask what happened. Those clubs were gigantic. Gigantic once upon a time. And then bad owners got involved and ruined them. Ruined them. So be very, very careful because it can happen, billionaires or not. It
You know
genuinely
what, though? I think all of us here on the panel can agree. We all hope that Chelsea go on a good run to end the season. So the Todd Bowley sits down there and goes, Frank Lampard, you're the one.
I think that would be the funniest thing. I think that would be funny.
No, but amazing. In all seriousness, who really wants to go to Chelsea as a manager? Because of the reason why they probably had. I know, but wouldn't that be bad on your CV going to Chelsea?
No. Look at how many managers have went to Chelsea, been sacked and been fine. You can go there, you can do a job. You're either successful or you get a boatload of money when they sack you. And because the club is in such a state, they're going to go, oh, that's not a good way to judge it.
That might be a reason for managers, but for established managers, money doesn't really have a massive factor.
Hang on, we got Conte and Jose Mourinho, and we haven't won a trophy for 15 years. If we can do it, they can get them.
Yeah, of course. We know they can attract managers because Luis Enrique wants the job. So
no, but with certain conditions. That's what I'm talking about.
I think they're normal conditions, though. He just wants to manage the team.
Yeah, I know, but he wants to have a say. But if there's about 5, 6, 7 players on 8-year contracts, you can't get rid of them. So which manager wants to go there? And I know, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough.
Some of them, dude, will turn out. They'll turn out good, right? I think the thing is, it's like with anything. It's like Tom and I had a conversation earlier about Liverpool and buying Darwin Núñez, and it's difficult. You're judging one player that's coming in a year when Liverpool aren't doing well, as opposed to judging a player that comes in to a club when they are doing well. And that's how I see it with players like Mudryk, with players like Enzo Fernandez, Fofana, Badiashile. These players, a new manager could come in and completely reinvigorate them. Yeah, get a formation going that works for them, get a team set up, not have 450 players and have to rotate them every week. And all of a sudden you go, oh, that Mudryk's good. Oh, that Enzo Fernandez is class. And now all of a sudden the 8-year contracts don't really matter.
They've got good play. They've got good players there, Dauds. It's just about this next man. Listen, I could turn around in 6 months' time and my opinion be completely different. They could bring Luis Enrique in. Todd Bowley can be completely removed from decision-making and team talks. They could be cooking and playing nice football, and then it will just be with a bad start, but you fixed it in the end. But that's why I'm saying they've got to put pressure on this next decision being right. They might believe the stories from the journalists that they're taking their time, they're going to get it right. But be skeptical. Being skeptical doesn't make you. I think being skeptical of your club, especially when they're in the middle of making many mistakes, that's being a true fan. Burying your head in the sand and ignoring the potential problems is what allows these situations to snowball into an avalanche. And I've seen it happen in the history of football, and I've seen it happen to my own football, like to other clubs, and I've seen it happen to my football club. And I'm just saying to Chelsea fans, be mindful. There's a user a minute ago said you shouldn't speak about Chelsea like that. Boycott the football terrace. Your club, if every Chelsea fan had that attitude towards burying their head in the sand, bro, your club will be ruined. But there we go. In terms of top four, before we move on to the title race, obviously Newcastle lost this weekend. Brighton picked up a victory. Villa are now in great form. Spurs, we know what happened. We know what happened to you lot. United win. What's happening with the top four race now? Because this weekend's a massive one. Newcastle Spurs play each other. So Man United guaranteed this weekend to remain in the top four.
Yeah.
What do we see
I was
happening?
going to say something about, sorry, can I just say one thing? I wish we were challenging for top four this year compared to last year, because this year no one wants top four. It's like Tottenham Hotspur, they don't want top 4. If you've got Villa challenge for top 4 and United, I think United are they've got third position because Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspur, especially Tottenham Hotspur, it's like let's get the season over done with. And then there's something about Newcastle. Newcastle, they're a good team, but when it comes to the crunch part of the season, now 7-8 games left, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get top 4 because they've got quite a few tough games. And I'm not sure about you guys, but I've got something about Aston Villa doing something. That might be a bit...
I was literally going to say that, but I did just look at their fixtures, and Aston Villa have got a lot of games against teams in and around them. Like, they've got us, they've got Liverpool, they've got Brighton, they've got Newcastle, they've got United.
Would you say that's tough games?
Well, it's all teams around them. For Aston Villa, I'm not going to take anything away from them. Unai Emery's done an amazing job. I think he's got the third most amount of points since coming in the Premier League. So he's done amazing to get them into the position that they are. And if they did get into the top 4 or even get into the 5th position, they're doing far better than they ever imagined. But I do think that Newcastle are going to close out in that 4th position. I do think that they're 6 points clear of Villa. We're out of the top 4 race. I'm honestly not even worrying about it. We're not even competing for that at the moment. So with the position that they are in, with a game in hand against Villa, Newcastle will, and they've got a few games, quite a lot of their games at home, they're harder ones. So I think Newcastle are going to walk away with this. It's not going to be tight. It's not going to be a great distance, but because of the gap that they've created themselves at the moment, they're already too comfy to give it up, and they've got us at home. We're not winning. They're going to walk away with at least a point. So that gap's only going to get further. It's only going to spread.
I think Man United clinched already top 4, right? I think we all agree that Man United, with the results last week, they clinched top 4. Yeah, I think that's done for me.
I don't know. I think it depends on. I've been saying.
Oh, come on!
I've been saying it for a month now. Hold on. I've not said who will drop out, but I think Brighton make it in. I just think Brighton.
That's not a bad shout, Tom.
Yeah, I think
because the football
Brighton have to beat Wolves and beat City to get top 4.
They have
because they've got us.
Brighton have two games. They have a game in hand over Man United.
Brighton are a good. I'm sorry, you cannot write off Brighton in this. That Brighton are playing some of the best football.
Yeah, Brighton one's. We've got a game in hand over like a few teams, but that's against Brighton. And Brighton have like another game in hand as well. It's so hard. Like I feel really confident with Man United. I know we've lost Lissandro, but Rashford's nearly back. Garnacho's coming back. People were panicking after those injuries. I didn't really understand why.
Isn't Varane out for the most of the season as well?
A couple of weeks, they've said. It'll be a couple of weeks. So I think he'll be back as well. What are we from 5th? We've got a game in hand over Tottenham that are currently 5th, and we're 6 points clear. That game in hand's against Brighton. Away, though. That's a hard game. So some people might even call that a loss. But the thing is, for me, the reason I still think Man United will make it, we've got slightly more points than everybody else. No one from Man United, Newcastle, Spurs, Villa, and Brighton are going to win all their games. I think everyone's going to drop points in 3 or 4 matches. So I think it's almost going to be as it is now. I think Newcastle and Man United will be the 2 teams to make it personally. But what great seasons. I mean, Villa's turnaround from when Unai Emery came in till now is crazy. But yeah,
when you look at obviously a big game, Newcastle Tottenham this weekend, I think Newcastle will absolutely swarm all over us. It will be a completely different Newcastle to what we just saw lose at Aston Villa. They'll swarm all over us. Our last 8 away games, we've not won one of them against some very poor teams. So I fully expect them to win. And that means that the weekend would end on United on 59, Newcastle on 59, Spurs back on 53, and both of them would have, Newcastle would have 1 game in hand, United 2 games in hand. I can't see past those 2 teams unless Newcastle completely collapse and
then Tottenham's next game after that is Man United.
So, and then Liverpool away.
Yeah. So if Man United did go to White Hart Lane and beat you, we could end up being 9 points ahead of you with 2 games in hand.
Yeah.
You're not catching us if that happens. But then this is where it changes. You guys beat Newcastle and Man United. Suddenly, people will look at you as favourites.
Terry, come on, what you been smoking?
We're battling. What we're focused on right now is we're battling Liverpool for that last European spot in the Conference League. That's my battle. I just need to finish above Tom, and I'm all
It's a battle I don't want to be in. You're fighting someone who doesn't want to fight.
I'm taking a consolation.
I don't want to fight.
I don't want to fight, man. You can have it. I don't want it. I don't want to fight you for it. You can have it.
I want no Europe. I want no
no,
Europe
for
at
real.
Tottenham next year.
It's nothing.
Sort out the mess. Have a year out of Europe. But listen, Emery's done a ridiculous job when you think about it.
Would you guys take Emery Tottenham Hotspur? At Tottenham Hotspur?
Why would he leave Villa?
He does well at clubs where they're in around Champions League. So would you take him?
No, but
Villa
I'm genuinely saying I
back
don't
their
think he'd leave
managers.
Villa. I don't believe he. I think Villa is a much better club for a manager to be at than Tottenham.
I agree.
Yeah,
get back.
very true, Tom. Very true, Tom. How do Spurs attract a good manager now? If like I don't know, like Chelsea are more attractive, Villa are more attractive, if Brighton are more attractive now. It's not a dig at Spurs. It's just the club is in champ. I'm not. It's not a dig. It's not a dig.
Mo, you're naming clubs that aren't looking for managers. We're not competing with clubs that aren't looking. We're competing with clubs that are, and that's only Tottenham and Chelsea that are looking for managers. And there is a lot of good managers out there that we can get. Let's be serious now. Any manager that's over in another European league, we're going to pay them 5 times the salary they're getting, and they're going to be playing in the Premier League. We automatically give them everything that they haven't had.
It's like Arne Slot, George. If you look at Arne Slot at Feyenoord, people are going, well, why would he leave Feyenoord? They're great football, they're going to win things in Holland. It's like, well, let's be really, really honest. And I'm not knocking other leagues here, but Tottenham Hotspur will turn around and go, all right, Arnie, here's 10 million a year, as opposed to, I don't know what he's on, but I'm guessing it's nowhere near 10 million a year at Feyenoord. So we will always, that's not our problem. Attracting a manager won't be a problem. It's the player side that concerns me more. I always think we'll get managers.
Yeah. Here's the thing. In the summer, there's supposedly 4 clubs looking for managers: Chelsea, Spurs, Real Madrid, and PSG. And that's a big problem. How many managers on the market that you would want? The Nagelsmans, the Luis Enriquez, right? These are the people that are on the market that everybody wants. My problem with Spurs is that maybe you should have signed a manager like after Antonio Conte, like now. You get somebody locked in now, which is what Bayern Munich did. Bayern Munich sucks.
Great
to get Tuchel now because they saw people sniffing around him, the Real Madrid and stuff. I think Spurs need to lock in a manager now, not in the summer.
No, Mo, it's different when you're buying and when you're Tottenham. And I think that the thing with Tottenham is, me personally, I don't believe their next manager should be a winner. I don't believe that's the way forward. I think they need to go back to their roots, which is go get a young, up-and-coming manager and just let the project work its way through. Whether it's successful or not, at least then it's more sustainable than what they're doing now, which, let's say they get Luis Enrique in, and the higher likelihood than him succeeding is him staying for 2 years, they don't back him, and he leaves at the end of 2 years, whether he's sacked or his contract expires, whatever. And then the next manager that comes in is left with a squad that has players from Pochettino, Mourinho, Nuno, Conte, and Enrique. A squad made up of 5 different managers, players.
Do you know who we need, Tom? Do you know what we need? Tottenham need their own version of Eddie Howe. Tottenham need an Eddie Howe. We need a Slot. We need a Vincent Kompany. Somebody that's going to go in there, and we go, right, 5 years, build. Because we're not winning. We're not ready. We're not ready to win.
Have I got the manager for you? Steven Gerrard over in Scotland. He was fantastic. He won a trophy over there.
Yeah. No, I don't think he's listen, I think it's a year too early for the guy I was going to mention, maybe 2 years too early. But Michael Carrick, he's an ex-player of yours as well. So there's a little understanding of the club. Beautiful football that he plays at Middlesbrough. He's turned their season around, but I do think it's a little bit too early for him and Vincent Kompany. I think both parties should stay away from each other just now, but we'll see. Like, I've got to some of these super chats that have come through. The first one says, lol, now everyone wants to finish 8th. The Arteta effect. I like that. That's kind of funny. Debbie says, Terry, be happy you are not Chelsea with Qatar in. Yeah, I'm very happy to not be where Chelsea are right now. I can promise you that. There's problems that Chelsea will see this summer. They have to get things right. Then that's where the grace ends if they don't, is what Gav says. I think you're right there. Let's be real about Mourinho. How many players currently at Chelsea would actually like and want to play for him? Yeah, there's a lot of people that think he's kind of beyond his best years now. So I think that's a fair point. Tuchel kept Chelsea up this season. That's a madness. That's actually true, statistically speaking. Excuse me, my cold's giving me grief. Terry, you told fans and rivals all is well at United. Your Glazer out chants were quiet. Where is the panic? You all hypotheticals with Qatar. So I've told everybody that we've improved this season. but to go and watch more of my Man United content where I've said that if we keep these owners, it will plateau and go backwards. So I'm speaking about improvements in isolation, but very much caveated that in many videos. So again, I always say, if you're going to comment on my content, you've got to watch all of it so you know exactly what I've said rather than taking out, you know what I mean? Don't do the Andrew Tate thing where you watch a whole line and then pretend you've watched a 2-hour-long podcast where it was discussed in full. So thank you for the super chat, Ireland Breeze Limited. My suggestion is just go back and watch all the content and listen to it, and you'll get all my thoughts on everything, my friend. So thank you. This here says, this time, it's time for Spurs. Oh, we've already done that one there. Thank you. We're going to come to the Arsenal ones and that in a little while. Don't worry about that. We haven't forgotten about them, but it just makes more sense. This should be from KJ. EA Sports Premier League Team of the Season nominees are out. No De Gea, Partey, or Bruno. Kai Havertz included. What? Do you know what? Do you know what, guys? Do you know what I like about this? This proves that player awards are meaningless. I've said this for years. They have to include all fan bases so that they get interactions and likes and clicks and attention from those fan bases. If you just nominated the people that deserved it this year, there'd be like 2, maybe 3 teams involved. But they'll do it so there's at least 7 or 8, so they get more interest. Just goes to prove that player awards are nonsense. Top hyping Slippy G up. He nearly ruined Villa.
No, we set them up. That's what he done. It was all mind games. Stevie knew what he had to do. He had to get Unai in. Steven
Gerrard's team. Enrique will work, and Chelsea. At Chelsea, I already done that one there from George. Chelsea not, and Nagelsmann will work at Spurs, but not at Chelsea. Is what Jorge thinks there. But of course, this weekend, gents, we saw City win again. And then just Arsenal 2-0 up, 2 weeks running, not just winning, but maybe the best 30 minutes of football in both games that we've seen from Arsenal all year. I think all of us were tweeting and saying the same things at home or wherever we were watching it. Game's done. I saw people that have yesterday, I've seen people that have written off Arsenal all year say, tweet, I was wrong. They're going to win this title, aren't they? For 2 weeks running, Dauds, you've bottled it. You bottled the games. You've thrown the lead away. You had a nice gap between you and City of 8 points. That's now down to just 4 points. They have a game in hand over you. Their next game is against you at the Emirates. But talk to us, Dauds, about what happened at Arsenal yesterday.
I think there's some complacency just creeping into the team now. It's like the players know that they're better than the opponents when it comes to style of football and the way we're playing. And then half an hour in, we play some of the most amazing football, dominating, creating chances. And then the players think that when I was watching the game, 2-0 up, I see Gabriel Jesus going into right back position, getting the ball, passing it about. Then he goes into the left back position. It's like, and then Arteta said in an interview, said that after the 2-0, we're passing because of me, just for the sake of it. There was no intention of scoring a third and fourth goal. It's like we go into these games now, especially away, where we think we're 2-0 up and then there's no danger, the game's finished. We haven't got that killer mentality. And that's something I'm worried about compared to City. City end the game by half-time and then they're able to take their best players off at half. Haaland went off after 45 minutes against Leicester City. The reason why Bukayo Saka, Odegaard, all these players play 90 minutes is because we don't end the game by half-time. We're only 2-0 up and then we concede a goal before half-time. And Partey, I don't know what happened to him that first 45 minutes. It's like half an hour he's playing amazing. Him, Odegaard, Xhaka, link-up play, and then he thinks that he could do a flick when Declan Rice is pressing him, and then he just puts his hand there, he just stands there, and then when we concede the penalty, all the players, I think it was against Liverpool as well, is when we concede a goal, we lose our way of thinking of how to play football. We start going long, I don't know what is with the mentality of these players. We have to figure it out. Arteta needs to find out a solution of.
Dauds, let me ask you a question then. You've said that you've become complacent, you're not handling the pressure. Who does that come down to? Who is to blame? Because who's to blame for this going wrong, in your opinion?
I think there's a naivety of the players. I think they're very young players. You have to look at it. They're young players, and they've never been in a title challenge, mostly except for Jesus and Zinchenko. The rest of them haven't been in the title challenge. So I think it's to do with naivety. I think it's a learning curve. I think if we take out that naivety out of the players and the complacency, there isn't any team that's playing better football than us this season. So if we keep up the same way we're playing the first 80 minutes for the majority of the game, who's better than us? Like seriously, who's actually
that
a better
doesn't happen for a reason, though. Your team, like you said, the arrogance. They've got far too arrogant going on this season, playing good. And then everyone told you all year, they said, no. The title race don't start until the last 10 games. It don't start till March. You guys ran ahead of yourselves, started celebrating in December, as you have been with Wenger. You've done it for the last 15, 20 years. Used to be first in December by Christmas. Every single year, Arsenal was top at Christmas. And then you would fall away. It's the mentality of the players. Yet again, they're too young. They bottle it, and they're just not ready for it. They done it last season. They're going to do it again this season. You've done it in all the bigger games in the back end of this season. When you had Man City, you lost. You've done it at, as Terry pointed out, Liverpool. You've done it against Everton when you had that little 3-game streak where you wasn't where you dropped points. And again, you've got City coming up. You've got Newcastle away coming up. You can't tell me that you're confident going into those games and you're going to walk away with points when you're going against teams that are battling for something, teams that really want something, and teams that aren't as arrogant as you. They know what they want and they're going to go and get it. Your players, that you got to be joking around. Where is the Arsenal fans calling out Saka? Because all year I've heard world-class, elite mentality. This guy's going to take us to the promised land. And what does he do? Just like he did for his country, bottle it. Bottle it in the moment. Had the penalty, could have played away, and he did not have the balls to step up for it. He couldn't.
I want to add to what you said, George, about something. Do we think really that the players fed off the media and the fans' hype about winning the league early? Because I think in this day and age, players and everybody around the club, they actually know what is going on around social media. They know what's going on around in the media, in the news, and in YouTube and stuff. And I think Arsenal fans have been overconfident over the past 3-4 months that we already won the league. We won that.
No, not already won the league. No. We're being overconfident. We're the best team. We're the best team in the league.
A lot of Arsenal fans told me that we won the league. This is our league. This is our league. And I think you put more pressure on the player than what it should be. To be honest, any player can miss a penalty. Roberto Baggio missed a penalty in the final of the World Cup, but it's under pressure. I think Arsenal fans were overconfident. I think the club overall fed off this energy. They kept feeding them that you won the league, and it showed. Thomas Partey trying to flick that guy in front of your 18 is a sign of overconfidence. And I think this is what's happening with the club. I think what's happening with Arteta, with the players, they're overconfident, and it's your fault.
George, do you feel like you've been too overconfident, that you personally too overconfident, too cocky? Do you feel like you've done that?
I've been very confident because I'm watching my team and we're outplaying every single team. We don't go into any games and where we're so superior to the opponent, except for that City game. Even that City game that we lost 3-1. If Grealish came after the game and even said that, Arsenal were the better team. I can't remember a game that we went into.
Playing good football don't win you trophies or don't win you games.
I know, but you can see the
better team on the pitch. It's about who wins the game.
It's not about. I know, but that playing bad and winning games, it catches up to you. Okay, that happened. That's happened to Tottenham Hotspur. Conte he wasn't playing amazing football. You're still winning games, and now it's caught up to you now. Now you're still not playing good football. You're not winning games anymore. That happened to Man United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Every single game they were 2-0 down by half time. Second half they'll start winning games.
You're talking about bad teams. If you talk about teams with top mentality, Dauds, if you talk about Man City, you see Man City play bad some games, they still get the win. That's top mentality. It doesn't matter about how good you play because good teams aren't going to play good every single game. You can't go into every game.
But this is
we're going to dominate this. It's not sustainable to dominate every single game.
Dawood, you always play great. Dawood, you always play great. Arsenal football has always been a great football on the eye.
No. That entertaining team. Great 1 week, another week will look average. Now every single week we're the best team. Okay, that's a massive difference. And you have to look at it. Winning the first league title for most teams is not going to be easy. We're not going to win it by end of April. The first league title, it was always going to be hard. It was all going to have hiccups.
But that isn't what you said, though, is it?
No. I know. For me personally, but I'm talking about the players. They said that
With 10 games left. Title is finished, boys. It's finally done.
That's what you said. So I'm just saying, like, be intellectually.
How's he got you in 4K? How's he got you in 4K?
Oh my God! It's not even other Arsenal fans. It's you, Daud. It's not other Arsenal fans. You did this.
No. Okay. I might have been a bit confident.
I'll put my hands up. I'm not changing my mind yet. I'm still saying you can win this, right? City are getting closer and closer each week that goes along. For me, it was the one thing that I feel like Arsenal fans have got wrong in the last month. And I said it on videos, and I've had goons DM me, I've loved you all year, but I've got to stop watching you now because you there's no need to criticize this. And I've responded to them saying, firstly, the fact that one bit of criticism makes you stop watching. I'm kind of glad you're leaving the terrace. I don't like that weakness around me. It kind of freaks me out. But it's a case of you have to criticize. And I think what has happened to your fan base, I've seen Jess get a lot of abuse when she's gone happy with the win. This was great, but I really wish that Joe Bloggs had done a bit better here. I really wish we'd have made this substitution. Why be negative for? Why be negative? Players need that pressure still to keep them honest. I do think that when you start celebrating too early and you allow all the mistakes to go by willy-nilly, no real pressure, I do believe it gets into dressing rooms. Mo is bang on. In this era, we no disrespect to Mo, we know that this happened because most clubs now adopt a policy with multiple sports psychologists, and they give the reasons as to why, because the players hear and see what's said about them online, whether it improves them or it damages them. And whenever a fan base gets overconfident and stops challenging their team, complacency sets in. Whenever you abuse, by the way, you can also abuse too much. And I think what was going on at Arsenal under Wenger got to a point where they were getting so much crap that I think they did lose an element of confidence because what they were getting online was crazy. I think some of the Man United players have gone through that. You have to get the balance right. But this notion of let's just, any mistake they make, let's not call them out because other gooners might not like it online. I think that's mad. You've got to keep your players honest, always.
Can I come at it from a different point of view? And from as a football fan, forget being a Spurs fan. For me, look, first and foremost, the league's not done yet, okay? I do think Man City are going to win the league. I think I've been really vocal that I've said Man City are going to win the league. I think Terry is threatening to have a wager with me about this, but I'm still waiting for him to...
Mate, that was before yesterday's game, to be fair.
Exactly. Right. But on a serious note, look, I look at it like this, all right? I look at it, I said all season, I think that Man City won the league. And it's not... I don't subscribe to this bottling notion. I subscribe to the notion of who has the better players, who has the experience, who has the better manager, yeah, and who knows how to get over the line. And when I look at all four of those elements, Arsenal shouldn't be anywhere near winning this league. Arsenal shouldn't. So for me, I think the problem is, rather than Arsenal, I think, look, if Arsenal fans have been a little bit more humble throughout this rise, I think if they had lost the league, people would have said, you know what a great season, you've done really well, no one expected it from you, it's been brilliant. But the problem is they've belittled everyone on their route to that journey, and therefore now everyone's saying they've bottled it, when realistically Man City are superior in every way to Arsenal. And the last two things I would say are this. First of all, everyone all season, they keep doubting Man City that, this year they won't go on a run. Yes, they will. They do it every year. They have a little patch where they lose a few games and everyone goes, not the same City. And then City go, should we go on our run? Do we fancy winning 15 in a row? Yeah, let's do it now. And somebody's just sent me a picture of a graphic of Pep Guardiola and his last 14 seasons as a manager. Yeah, he's won 11 of those 14 titles. And this is the thing. That guy going to get you over the line because he'll keep everyone calm. He knows how to rotate. He knows who's going to play in which games in the big moments. So this isn't, I'm not knocking Arsenal, by the way, Dad. I'm not knocking. I think Arsenal, for me, I think it's embarrassing how far ahead of us they are. I think they've done a wonderful job. And I think that this is a Spurs fan saying this, remember, the most important thing for Arsenal is that you guys, to be good, you need to kick on. It's about what you do in the summer to kick on, whether you win or come second in the league. Who do you buy? What type of players? And do you go again next year? Or was this a flash in the pan?
I'll speak as well, though, just real quick about someone who was in your club situation pretty much a couple of years ago in 18-19. We were leading the league for a fair while from pretty much third game of the season all the way up till about March when they jumped us, and then they strung together 18 wins in a row. 18 wins in a row to win that title. The next year they had injury problems, wrote it off. Next year we had injury problems, but they still went on a 15-game winning run. The year after that, last season, they went on a 14-game winning run, a 17-game unbeaten run. This is what Manchester City do. And it's a different pressure when you're being the chaser rather than the one who's being chased. And I didn't believe that you could win this title because you were the one in front, because you were the one who had all the pressure in the nicest possible way, because the team in first have the pressure. Whether people want to say it otherwise, the team that are top of the league have the pressure because they're top of the league for a reason. And Manchester City, all they had to do was keep winning, keep winning, keep winning. It didn't really matter because if they lost, they were out of it anyway. Whereas you were going into games going, if we don't win, we're in trouble. If we don't win, they close the gap. If we don't win, they close the gap. And it's a different mentality. And this Man City team has been there, done it, and got 4 medals to show for it. This Man City team can put aside, worries and doubts about their future and, I'm a bit upset about this. They can put that aside for 10 games and just go on and win the league. This Arsenal team doesn't have that yet. Might they get it eventually? Yes. I'm sure this will only be a benefit to you if you miss out on this title. It'll build character. It should give your players experience in that position. But there is also a small worry that if it happens in a bit of a demoralising way, i.e. they pip you to it late on, your players sit there and go, oh, what do we do now? Oh, we're feeling sorry for ourselves. Oh, this, oh, that. That's where I will then look to your manager and go, that's what you've got to deal with now.
Do you know what, Tom? I want to say 2 things on this. Firstly, that's again where constructive criticism is going to be key. Tough love is going to be key. And I'm not just calling Arsenal fans out on this. I think this is across the challenge to get in the top 6, all the teams that are vying for it. You've got to be harsh on your team, but in a caring way. I know this is lost. I often turn around to people online and say, I can't stand when we abuse players. And people go, I'm just criticizing them. Anyone who confuses criticism and abuse and doesn't know the line, especially grown-ups, just get those people out of your life. They're really dangerous people if they don't understand the difference. But Arsenal fans this week need to be very harsh, very critical, and very demanding of their players. They need to get up them because they've still got. This is the thing: you haven't bottled the league yet. You've said that you bottled the game. A lot of people saying you bottled the league. Sava said he doesn't think you'll bottle it at any stage. In terms of he doesn't think because City are better than you, it can't be bottling. But let's just point it out there. You haven't lost it yet, but you'll lose it now if everybody starts wrapping your players in cotton wool, wrapping the manager in cotton wool, protecting them from any criticism, because what that will create is complacency and more of it. It'll be like Tottenham. We don't get in trouble when we don't win. What does that do? That creates more failure. What you need to let these players know is what happened is completely unacceptable, and we will criticize you strongly if it happens again. Go out in the next game, respond, and we'll cheer and clap you again. Because if you win your next game, you still go to the game at the Etihad 7 points clear, not 9 like it should have been, and it should have been 11 really, because you should have beaten Liverpool as well. But it's still 7 points, and that still puts pressure upon City to have to win that game. They then
you can see.
Let me just finish these points. They have to then win those games. So you haven't bottled anything yet. You bottled games, you haven't bottled the league. But your fan base has to become more hardened on criticizing your players. Criticism is part of your job as a fan, but it isn't abuse. It shouldn't be seen. An Arsenal fan that criticizes in the right way shouldn't be berated or abused by his own fan base for wanting your team to be better. Deep that. Imagine having to go at an Arsenal fan who wants you to do better and just saying it will be okay, Saka. It will be okay, Arteta. That isn't what creates the diamonds, because your manager doesn't go back into that dressing room and go, Saka, it's okay. He would have been right up Saka's ass. It would have been for a moment. Yeah, and for me, that's the bit here that's key. And if you do that, you criticize, you'll also bounce back next year. If you start wrapping your team in cotton wool, well, it's okay. It's okay. Well, you know, I always remember listening to a Spurs fan. We did a preview outside their ground, and he said, "I really want to win the Champions League." Just before they played Liverpool, but he went, "But even if we lose, I'm so proud of these boys." And I turned around and looked at Neeks, and I went, "Spurs are losing the final, no matter what." So why I said, because that's the 5th or 6th fan outside the ground that's like, "I don't care if we win or lose." And that mentality seeps into a dressing room. It always has, and it always will. Man City were up on stage after winning a league title, and I want to say it was Bernardo Silva. It might have been Gundogan, who said, "We want the fans to put pressure on us to win the Champions League, because when we don't, they just let us off the hook. We want that pressure." Footballers say this. Why are fans ignoring what they want? They want you to criticize and pressure them. So this week, don't send them nasty, abusive messages, but beyond them, because they watch people's videos. They watch AFT. We know they watch AFTV. Bellerin called it out all those years ago. They're sitting there and saying, "It's okay, boys. We love you anyway." Bullshit. Get up them, but you don't have to abuse them when you're doing it.
Tell you the thing is, bro, you guys have already started. Wait, Mo, they've already started to do it. I don't know if you guys have seen. They've already started to say, "All right, boys, if we don't win the title this season, it's all right. We've done well already. We're in 2nd place. Look, we're that much ahead of Man United. We're that much ahead of Arsenal and Tottenham." They've already started to compare their season to Man United, whether they win the league or not. So I feel like they've already started to put the cotton wool around them, started to protect the players, and start saying, "Oh, we've overachieved anyway because we didn't expect this." So Arsenal fans have already accepted the fact that they're not going to win the league. And they're already starting to let that mentality seep into the dressing room because they've overachieved. But at the end of the day, as you said, they was already in this position where they shouldn't have been, but they got there, and they needed to stay there and continue to be that good, and they didn't. So for me, they're already doing it. Arsenal fans have literally, I'm seeing all over Twitter, "Let's go to the Etihad and play for a draw." What mentality of the club is to go to Etihad in a title race and play for a draw? What is it?
Okay.
Let's call it the truth. I want to add something, though, to be honest. Let's just say something. Arsenal have been the best team in England this year. Numbers don't lie. They have been, right? They lost
There's more than just the Premier. Sorry, there's more than just the Premier
League. But that's what I mean. In the Premier League now, they're still with the game at City. I have a game in hand, but they're 4 points ahead. They lost at the Emirates to that Man City. If they go to the Man City, the players should know that now you've been the best team and you lost against the City team at your home. Go to the Etihad and win this game. Prove that you are the best team in this country. Bounce back of this. You win that game, I think you will win the league. I still believe that Arteta and the club will absolutely tell these players, we still can do this. It's not only a loss at the Etihad. You can go and win at the Etihad. Why not? Why not go? Like, the players, you have been playing good football, and I think you can win at the Etihad.
They haven't got a chance at the Etihad. They've not got a chance at the Etihad. I think. Look,
I'm a neutral. I'm a neutral, Sava, and I really,
me too,
genuinely think that they can win at the Etihad.
How am I not neutral?
Because you're a Spurs fan. I'll keep you neutral.
Because I'm a grown up. Because
it's not about that. It's not about that.
No, because I'm a grown up.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Do you know what, dude? I just sat there and said about your team, right? If I wasn't a neutral, I'd sit there and go, "You've bottled it. You're rubbish, gutted. You're in the mud." I didn't, did I? I sat there and said, "I think Arsenal have had a good year." Now the difference is, I always said this all season: the depth that Man City have got comes into play for the business end of the season. Yeah, you guys have a good team. You have a very good team, but putting the same 11 out week in, week out and hoping that they can produce that form, yeah, it's starting to slip. Now, I'm not saying that you won't get it back, but Man City, they go, right, he's 70% this week. Tell you what, Mahrez, go on, you come and sit here. Foden, you fancy going on this week? Arsenal can't do that. And that's the difference for me. Is like, if you win the league, if you don't win the league this year, I think, yes, to what Terry's saying, it's about how do you go again next year? How do you say to your guys, do you know what? Good season. We let it go at the end. We can push on. But this narrative that they've bottled it against a superior team, a superior manager, superior depth and superior experience, I'm sticking up for Arsenal when I say that. So let's not make this about you're Spurs. So you're saying that. But Arsenal, you're a good team. But show me one fan from Arsenal. Show me one pundit from across the country who said at the beginning of this season, Arsenal will end the year in first or second on 90 points.
Objectives change based on circumstances, Sava, which happened with Arsenal last year. Objectives.
Can I respond?
But facts don't change. Facts don't change, though, Mo. Hang on, sorry, Dad. Facts don't change. Objectives might change because you have a good spell. But anybody with half a brain will realise that as you get to the business end of the season, experience and depth and fresh players count. Arsenal have not got it.
I want to say, Sav, facts can change because just over 12 months ago, it was a fact that I didn't have any hair. I now do. So facts can change. No, listen, facts can change. Dauds, we're going to go to some super chats in a minute, but obviously a lot of stuff's been said about your club. Yeah, what do you want to say, mate?
Okay, first point about being rational and the reason why we're getting like battered by every single fan base. Like, football's an emotional sport. We're always gonna be overconfident, and the way our team has been playing for the majority of the season, dominating every single game, playing the way we play, was always gonna be overconfident. And like, we're not gonna be critical of our players because what they're doing now is not something that's it's easy to rectify because only a bit of it's like being naive. You can Arteta is an experience. It's gonna become an experience. We've got experienced players in Zinchenko and Jesus. They know how to win Premier League titles. Jorginho has to win the Champions League. We've got experienced players now in the squad. So as a fan myself, yes, I can be overconfident. I can be emotional, but the players, they know what's going to happen. They know what they need to do. And dropping these points against Liverpool and West Ham might actually have a good effect on these players because they know that there can't be any more slip-ups. They can't be naive. They have to go to City now and get a result. Before it was, if we beat Liverpool, beat West Ham, they might have thought, okay, if we lose to Man City, we can still win the league. I think now the mentality of the players have changed now. I think they know. I think because the majority of the season is being comfortable for them. Now it's getting to a point where they know they have to step up. So I believe now it's going to be a factor where we'll go and beat Southampton at home, and then we'll go to the Etihad, knowing that if we beat Man City, all of this like rival fan base bashing us, if we go to the Etihad and we win, that's signed, sealed.
Bashing you, my man. I don't think everyone is bashing you.
It is because it's not just you guys. Sorry, it's not just you guys. It's the pundits. It's the pundits now. It went from it's Arsenal have won the title. Now it's like we've bottled it. How have we bottled it? It's still in our hands yet. It's still in our hands. I'm watching TalkSport. They're saying that titles fit is in Man City's hands. I saw that statistic from Opta that said it's Arsenal chance of winning the title is 30% or something. Isn't it a fact though that it's in both your hands?
It's in your hands, but it's also it is in City's hands. If City win,
have to go and beat
of course. So let me ask you this question: if City win every one of their games, who wins the league this season?
Yes, obviously City win. Yeah,
right. And if Arsenal win all your games, so it's in both your hands. For me, it's in both your hands. I just think, and you're going to say this is me being a salty Spurs fan. I think the football Man City are playing. The way I've watched you concede chances to West Ham and Liverpool, I can't see City not scoring 4 or 5 past you. I think
no. The reason why we let teams like West Ham and Liverpool dominate the second half because we thought the game was over because we were so dominant in the first half and we took a massive lead.
You didn't let them.
We gave them goals. It wasn't where you can look at if you go back to the Liverpool game that first goal that they scored. It was a Henderson shot that went to Salah, and it basically was loss of concentration.
It's because your centre back failed to pick him up.
Okay,
you've got excuses for days.
Hey, it's not excuses because
let's have a bet. Let's have a bet. I guarantee you concede 4 minimum. I think Man City slapped 4 past you minimum.
That's not happening.
They're on fire.
I don't think you understand what City are like at the minute. This is a City team that.
But the way you said
they have not lost to any of the top 8.
You guys have said we've been the best team in the league all season.
I didn't say that.
We didn't say that. You said that.
You said that. I didn't say that. Man City are the best
team. Who's been the best team in the season? Premier League.
Wait, Dauds, is Saliba back for the City game? There's no guarantee of that. So you're going to go there playing with a Rob Holding and a Gabriel. So you're sitting there saying that you're confident of not conceding 4 goals, and you've got Rob Holding and Gabriel playing next to each other.
We had Rob Holding. We had Rob Holding against Liverpool, and none of you guys would have said in the first 30 minutes
No team has done what to Liverpool that we've done at Anfield. Name me one team that went to
Football,
Anfield.
the game's are 90 minutes.
Oh my God, a football game is not 30 minutes long. A football
No,
game
but
is
I'm
not
talking
30
about.
minutes long. What about
Now
the
you're
last
all
60?
talking about we're gonna
What
go
about
to
the last
City
60?
and get battered.
What about the last 60 where this Liverpool team that has been dross all season, pinned you back?
No, but
had
you've
you
only lost
against
one
the
league game
ropes,
at home.
Should have won. It should have. We should have won.
Can I add something, guys? I can't believe that we're sitting here talking about Arsenal, top of the league, conceding 4 at City. Yes, City have been brilliant because Arsenal drew Liverpool at Anfield, where City lost and everybody lost.
Yeah.
And Saka missed a penalty. I don't see that the logic of not giving Arsenal even a 10, 20% chance. Where is the logic coming from?
I'll tell you
Because
why.
City
Because
are great.
I'll tell you why, Mo. Because I've said this time and time and time again. And listen, this is one of them moments as a YouTuber, right? Where this will be clipped, I'm sure. And if it's wrong, Terry will mug me right off, and rightly so, right? Fine, clip this. The difference is, I've said this all season, said this in years gone by. When it gets to the business end of the season, and Man City go on one of these runs, they look like they can slap anyone. Man City just stuck 3 past Bayern Munich without getting out of second gear. They just beat Bayern Munich 3-0 without getting out of second gear. Listen, they might get to 3-0 and not need to keep going. But if Man City turn on the style at the Etihad with the experience they've got, Pep's going to tell them to go for the jugular. Yeah,
No, records are there to be broken.
Sure.
We say you talk about every single season. They do every single season. It's not guaranteed they're going to do it this season. Okay, it's not guaranteed.
They're doing it. They're doing it. They're doing it right now.
They will do it by the end of the season.
Nobody's arguing that. Nobody's arguing
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wins in a row. And the last time they failed to score more than 3 goals was 8 games ago at Crystal Palace. 3 goals, 7 goals, 6 goals, 4 goals, 4 goals, 3 goals.
That's why I said to you. That's why I said to you. It's going to be an advantage to these players, Arsenal players, because now everyone's saying when I go to Etihad, I'm going to lose. It's in Man City's hands. So if we go there with that mentality of we're the underdogs, if we get a result there, I think that's one of the major factors of we're the underdogs now. Before it was in our hands, now it's completely shifted.
Look, I know how good Arsenal have been this season. I know how good they've been, but I cannot see this Arsenal team going to the Etihad and beating them.
Just out of interest,
he's gone.
No, I think his internet might have dropped off. Just the interest of that, it's actually 6 wins on the bounce in the league. That's all comps. But interestingly, there's only been one season in the last 5 where City have won all of their remaining 10 games. That was the year after the Centurions, and all the others they've drawn or lost, I think, at least 2, sometimes 3 in their last 10 matches. So it's going to be intriguing to go if they do the full 10 again. Some super chats here, though. First one says, the treble is a United legacy. If City does it this season, it will be tainted by all the allegations. Let's not kid ourselves. Everyone knows City didn't abide by the rules to get where they are. Allegedly, my arse. When it comes to these, I mean, I saw a lot of the AFTV guys. Well, not a lot. That's a lie. Julian kind of call it out. Is this one of those things now that we have to just bury as fans until the proof comes out in the pudding? Or do we turn around as a football world and say, yes, City won it, but they're under allegations of cheating, so we don't take it as a serious achievement?
I want my 3 titles. I want my 2 titles. Sorry, if we're going to run with this narrative for Arsenal, I want my 2 titles. I want my invincible Centurions season in 18-19. Look, at the end of the day, if it comes down to it and they are found guilty, then yeah, let's discuss it. But there's no point in umming and ahhing about it now when we don't know what the decision is going to be.
I want my League Cup then from 2 years ago.
I hear you on that. Ahmed, thank you. Deborah here with an amazing donation says, Arsenal will mess this up. Terrible injuries at Man United. Yeah, we have a couple of bad ones, there's no doubt. And look, it's down to Arsenal still. That's what's lovely about this title race. It's in both of their hands. But you have to go towards the reason that City have been made favourites, Lord, is because who's the favourites at the Etihad?
Man City, yeah. That's
So
underdogs.
that makes them the favourites now, even though you're ahead of them, because they're also favourites to win their game in hand. So that's kind of how it works as of right now. Deborah, thank you for that donation. Debbie says 2 questions. Do you think it's time for City's treble? It very much could be. And will Man United break if they do the treble? I will. That's why I don't understand Man United fans celebrating it. I heard Goldbridge almost word for word say the same thing as I said last weekend on TalkSport today, that he doesn't understand why any Man United fan would celebrate City achieving it just to banter Arsenal when it's equaling, equaling our record. So yeah, thank you, Debbie. TBG said the league isn't over, but it's unlikely. This is from Aguna, by the way. We've won the league at Old Trafford, White Hart Lane, Anfield, Stamford Bridge, and now we have to do it at the Etihad. Big ask. But imagine, if you do it, if City, like Sabs, I know you're saying they won't, but if Arsenal go there and win, how big of it does that make it an even bigger achievement?
Massive. Terry, I said this last week. This is why I'm not a salty Spurs fan. If Arsenal win this league title, absolute maximum respect to them. From where they were last year, 2 points behind us in 5th, maximum respect to Arsenal. And it scares the crap out of me, Terry, that they're such a young team and could go on and then, if they get it right, be a dominant force for years to come. So I'm not but me saying about City winning it, I said ever since we've known each other, Terry, you've heard me say this. So this isn't a thing now. I said this when they were 8 to 11 points behind. This is me rating Man City. This isn't about Arsenal. I just feel that any team in Arsenal's position, you could swap them out with, if Liverpool were that young team or Chelsea that young team, it's just about experience and getting over the line. If Arsenal do it, I'll come on and say fair play. Fair play. Why not?
I hear you there. This here from Mike says small percentage of our fan base, e.g. TikTokers with large reaches, they're the ones who put out those big opinions. Match-going fans haven't been overconfident or said Saka is world class. Some match-going fans have, because I've watched AFTV videos and they go to games, but I hear what you're saying, Mike. Warren Grant says, Terry speaking facts, always. Constructive criticism is key. I'm sick of toxic positivity in my fan base, still fuming after yesterday's game as well. Do you know how bad it gets, Warren? Last week, a lot of people were having a go at Lee Gunner because he was criticizing subs that were made. And they didn't bother listening to everything else he said, where he was like, I still think we'll win the league. Still happy with this, happy with that. They just focused on his criticism. And he was right. And maybe if the squad had listened to Lee and not the people wrapping them in cotton wool, they'd have beaten West Ham this weekend, John says, Arsenal bottling doesn't make sense to me because the majority of people have expected City to win. How can you bottle something you're not expected to win?
I agree.
John, that's what I mean by this generation. They're shit at banter. Someone yesterday tried to banter me, and they said I said that we were brilliant today, and everyone said we wouldn't score without Rashford. They quote me and said, "Ha ha ha, you're better without Rashford." Like, how is that banter towards a Man United fan, you prick? Saying my team's even better now. Like, it's not banter. Like, that's what I mean. These kids don't know how to banter. Their dads let them down, man. They let them down. Mikel could bottle more on his CV. Very uncomfortable, is what Don says here. And Ugly Hoodrat says, Dauds, why are you looking past Southampton?
Now, usually our home record is very, very good. So it's just about the mentality. Away fans.
That's exactly what you done in the West Ham game.
No, but the 2 goals that we dropped was at Anfield and West Ham. It's like we get the rival fans at their stadium. We get them riled up with the mistakes that we make, and we start making it into a fighting game instead of a actual game of playing football. And I blame that sometimes on the defense, because instead of, when it's going long, instead of chesting it and actually playing football, what Rob Holding does and Gabriel does is they head it back into danger, where it turns into a duel. That's why I said Saliba is a big miss, because Saliba was one of our most composed centre back, because instead of heading it back, he'll chest it, give it to the right back or give it to the midfielders. And the Man City won't do that. That's why I said that we might have a chance against City, because City won't make it into a game where it's a battle of winning aerial duels and winning corners. And it's going to be a game where it's going to be very, very tactical game where who's going to win. And yeah, so
yeah, I hear you, mate.
We're not conceding 4 goals. No
4 or 5. Martin here, one of our members, says, Terry, do you really think it was a legit penalty for West Ham? Imagine if Arsenal got a handball dive penalty. What did you make of it, Dawes? Because we've all seen the footage. It did hit Declan Rice's hand. There was an element of diving from the player. Do you think it was a penalty, though?
I don't really look into it now. When it comes to the end part of the season, I'm not looking into the referee decisions and penalties, and because If I blame that on Partey. Partey doesn't do that stupid flick. That doesn't happen. Okay, and I saw a different angle. Someone showed me a different angle. Declan Rice handballing the ball, but they can't get every single angle VAR for some reason, because they just look at one angle, they see what happens, and then they disagree or agree upon the angle. So yeah, it looked like it was very, very clever from Paqueta, like the one Jota did against Rob Holding, where he got in the way of Rob Holding, and it was a penalty, but it couldn't be a penalty. So yeah,
I hear that. Sweet as. Very quickly, quick score prediction for tonight, boys. Mo, Leeds versus Liverpool. What do you think's happening, mate?
2-2.
What you saying, Sava?
I'm going to copy my boy Tom. Told me earlier that it's going to be 4-2 to Liverpool. Loads of goals. And Leeds can't defend.
I'm not going for that now. I'm not going for that now. Seeing the team, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, what's the team? What's the team? I didn't see the team.
He's put Jota back. He's put Jota back in the team. Nunes is back on the bench. Curtis Jones and Henderson start again. Thiago's on the bench. Can you believe it? The man who was so important. He's back on the bench for Henderson. Woo!
Friel. Yeah. I've changed my mind. Friel.
We actually played a better midfield when we lost to them earlier on in the season.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going for 3-1 Leeds. 3-1.
3-1 Leeds. How about yourself, George?
I'm going for a Liverpool win. I'm going to go 2-0 Liverpool. I can't even lie. I don't see them conceding today.
There we go. I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. I think Liverpool will win tonight. Leeds are pants, to be honest with you. What about yourself, young Thomas?
Hopefully 3-1. Hopefully 3-1. Hopefully Jota can actually score for the first time in a year.
I hear that. Bison here says Madrid were favourites in last year's Champions League match with City. City bottled it, even though Madrid were favourites. Terry, I said City will win by 5 points. Yeah, I understand that. So bottling it is bottling it in many people's eyes. But I'm talking about individuals saying it. So if all year your prediction is, don't care how far ahead Arsenal are, City will catch them because they're better, and then they catch them, you can't. It's not. Your opinion can't be Arsenal bottled it because they were always going to catch them. It works as bottling. But if you say Arsenal were in the strongest position, they're 8 points clear, they should win it from this point now, they've been better than City, then it's about the individual saying it rather than is it or isn't it. It's about the individual having the credibility to say it based on their original opinion or what their statement was. Otherwise, you end up talking out of both sides of your mouth and there's no credibility. When there's no credibility, it's not funny. That's my point, Bison. So for someone like you, you've always said City were going to do it. So you don't think so Arsenal coming second for you isn't bottling, isn't underachieving because that's where you thought they were going to come. So
but Terry, they're still bottling it though because you're basing them bottling it on Arsenal fans' predictions. That's the whole point. Is Arsenal fans thought they won it, so they've bottled it.
So you could call George out for saying you were wrong, you got it wrong, but from my point of view, I've always said that Arsenal would win the league. So if I want to turn around and say they collapsed, it fell apart, it was in their hands, they were leading, that's different. Anyone who said they're not winning it, I just don't see how you can say.
So what wager are we having, Terry?
Oh, let's do a little. Let's wait until after the Southampton game, then we'll do it.
They're gonna batter Southampton.
That's who's bottled it. Terry's bottled it.
Terry's bottled it. Terry's bottled it.
Listen, anyone can call it bottling if they want. I don't really mind, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong for saying this. Maybe no one gives a shit. I'm just saying when it comes to banter, everybody tries to banter out of both sides of their mouths, and it just becomes boring. Sometimes you've got to let the banter marinate, season it. Then at the end, it tastes amazing, slow cooked. With every day you try to banter like this, it just becomes milked and boring, and no one listens anymore. I'm just saying it's so overused. I don't know. It just me.
£200, Terry, right now. £200 in front of all your subscribers. £200 says Man City win the title.
I ain't doing it.
Terry, are you going to have your Arsenal onesie on when they play at the Etihad? That's the real question. They want to know.
No, that won't be happening. But I do have my lollipops here, to be fair. I'll do that bet with you, Sav. I'll do the bet with you because I'm not going to. Yeah, they're 200 quid. Arsenal
for charity. We'll do it to a charity.
Arsenal win the league. Arsenal win the league. That's what I'll go with.
City win the league.
Listen, viewers, do us a big favor and smash the like button before you leave. Please make sure you're subscribing and got the bell notifications turned on. We are live after Leeds versus Liverpool as well. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Thank you.